Wilson Morales from Black Film TV. Hey, Jake, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. OT, it's good to see you.
Good to see
Here
you
we
too.
are. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the book and the movie. So when there's a series, okay, let's see how they're going to play this out. So, Jake, how did you want to play Rusty outside of the script, the people that read the book, and people that saw the movie to make it your own?
It was interesting, like the process of making it was interesting in that we had the pilot and then we really didn't know what was going to happen. And I've never been in that position before. You know, most of the things anything I've ever done, I've always known what the outcome was, and I didn't hear. So in a way I took that idea and I kind of played that throughout it. It was like you get the new script and you'd be like, you'd be as surprised as your character would be. So I used the technique to kind of try and I rolled with that, and then the character came to me. Yeah, that was it. I don't think I had any desire to make it any different. I thought it was very interesting to put a person in the position he was in, the moral complications, and this question constantly of his guilt or innocence, which was just no one ever really knew. I don't know. What about you?
Well, I mean, I didn't have to follow Harrison Ford. You know, like I didn't. It wasn't so. It wasn't so incumbent upon me.
We all have to follow Harrison Ford.
Okay.
Let's be honest.
We all remember that movie, and Harrison Ford was still in his prime, where you know how it's going to play out.
Yeah.
But I have to say that what Jake does is carve such a unique. Like you just forget about everything else when you watch this. It's its own story and its own character that he's created, and it's so compelling and so. You just have so much uncertainty about what's going on in his head.
So what about you, OT? Like, you know, you're playing part of Nico. Obviously, is he different from the book? Is it expanded in the series?
Oh, yeah, it definitely is expanded in the series. And but to be honest, I didn't have a long look at the source material. Like, David's a Goliath in his own right, and what he wrote was my Bible. And so I kind of mined that, and there was a lot to mine. You know, he creates these wonderfully multi-dimensional characters full of internal contradictions, and I had a ball just finding out what David had written.
Someone had said to me while you were doing stuff, they'd be like, a character OT's created is delicious.
I'll take that.
There you go.
Yeah, delicious.
Jake, Rusty is more chaotic, you know, in terms of his psyche here than obviously in the movie. You know, was it David's plan to have Rusty be like that, or was that always in the book in terms of how his mannerisms? Because here, obviously with the series, you just don't know. You know, that was just why you're watching it week after week to see whether or not he really did it. You know, whereas, you know, like I said before, if you're old enough, you remember that Harrison Ford is like this calm dude, and you're the totally opposite of it.
Yeah, I think over time, when you're with a character that long, you know, I think it's very frustrating to watch somebody go through what he's going through. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think the thing that's different with film to television is that, and particularly here, is that there is a lot more dialogue to explain than, you know, silent moments with the character. Had there been more silent moments with the character, maybe I would have approached it differently. But he's such a wordy character. He speaks so much that I felt like, and in order to carry the energy through all the things, it felt like there need to be a frantic nature to him. You know, he takes on a lot himself, and he decidedly does, and to go search through stuff and figure it out. So in doing that, you needed something and someone who wasn't calm, who was like determined in this way to prove something, and that elicited, I think, a more energetic, I guess, performance. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. There's this kind of propulsive feeling throughout the whole thing where you're just like, what is going to happen next? What's going to happen with this character?
Hey, you know, it's a weekly series. People are going to see how it plays out. So congrats on the roles, gentlemen. I'm sure I'll talk to you down the road because I'm always seeing you guys. Take care. Wilson Morales from Black Film TV. Hello, Nana. How's it going?
Hi, Wilson. How are you?
Good. I want to start off by saying congrats on the hair braiding. It's nomination.
Yes.
You know, you're a part of that. So that's one good thing. You got another good thing happening on. So, you know, if not on stage, you're killing it on screen. So what led you to take on this role of Alana Rodriguez?
Yeah. You know, I read the pilot and I was blown away. I mean, David E. Kelley is a master of the craft. I grew up watching his like legal dramas, so to be able to work with someone that you've admired from afar for years and years is like just magic. And so, you know, I was like, I want to be a part of this story, you know.
And for those who read the books or probably saw the movie, is this a new character or is she part of the book?
No, she's a new character. Yeah, like I think what was special about this is that they went back to the book as the source material, but the book was written in the 80s and needed, you know, a modern update, not only in terms of like the technology, like DNA and like things like that, but also in terms of, frankly, like gender representation and, you know, and things like that. So I think it was really, and race representation and things like that. So I think it was really, it was due an update because the bones of it are such a compelling story, but it needed a facelift in 2024. So they gave it that, and that was really cool.
As chaotic as Rusty seems to be, why does Alana stick around with him?
Well, I think that was
ride or die?
Yeah, because she's ride or die. She's definitely loyal, but I think that was a big question that came up for us in rehearsal. You know, so Jake and I sat down with Sewitsky, who directed the first 2 episodes and the final episode, and really hashed this out, like what their history was, why is she so ride or die? Because we didn't want to just have this 2-dimensional character that's like, I'm gonna do everything you tell me to do just because I'm loyal, you know? And so what came out of that was the understanding that she's very human and that this is a struggle. And sometimes she's going to help him, but it might be begrudgingly or it might be willingly, and anything in between as the evidence starts to pile up.
So then when you, having said all of that, it's sort of like, how do you want to play this? Like, what did you want to do to add to the character outside of the script to make it your own? So when we see this, you know, we can say, okay, it's a new character, so we don't know how it would have played out in the book, but let's see what more I can add to it that's outside of the page.
Yeah, I think, you know, I decided that there was one scene where she answers the phone and she's on the L, like on the Chicago, the public train. And there was one scene where I was like, could she be like a LARPer or something? Like, could she be like dressed in a LARPing costume? And they were like, no, Nana. And I was like, okay, fine. But like, you know, so there were things that I did for myself, like simple things. They were like, is she married? Is she unmarried? Does she have kids? Does she not have kids? And I was like, you know, I'm going to have her be unmarried, no kids, very devoted to her job, you know, very devoted to the camaraderie and that ecosystem of her coworkers and her colleagues. And that's her life. So then when there is this disruption, one of them is accused of killing the other very brutally, it really does turn her whole world upside down.
When you do a show like this and you do a number of episodes and you've been on stage, you've done film, is there anything you take away from doing this series that helps you out as an actress, skill set wise, moving forward?
Yeah, I think, you know, honestly, most of my scenes were with Jake, and Jake has been doing this for longer than I have. He's grown up on film sets. He comes from a family of storytellers, and I think being with him and seeing how he operates on a film set was very instructive. Frankly, he knows about everything. He's suggesting even a shot, like, oh, should we maybe put it here because da 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 da. And so, frankly, I'm sure he's going to direct something someday soon, and he's going to be great at it. Like, I think that was really interesting to watch because he just understood everything that was going on, everyone's job, what everyone was doing. And yeah, that was really inspiring.
Congrats on the role. Congrats on the series. Congrats on the show. It's all working for you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye, Wilson. See you soon.
Mm-hmm.